Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is the 23rd of April, 2024, and these are the stories that we will be highlighting during the course of the show. We'll begin with, of course, the Pak-Iran ties in the whole context of the visit of the President of Iran, His Excellency Dr. Sayyid Ebrahimraisi, who arrived in Islamabad yesterday on a 3-day important visit. And yesterday was a very fruitful day as far as the meetings are concerned, whether it be the meeting with the Prime Minister or the President or the Chief of the Army Staff or the Chairman Senate or the Speaker of the National Assembly, as well as delegation level talks and the signing of the MOUs. Then today he went to Lahore, where of course he also met with the Chief Minister and the Governor of Lahore. He laid a wreath at the mausoleum of Allama Muhammad Iqbal, who is a national poet and which the Iranians revere. And then from there he went over to Karachi. Now he is currently in Karachi. He also laid a wreath at the mausoleum of Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. These are the details as far as the latest updates are concerned. But of course we'll be talking the whole gamut of the relations between Pakistan and Iran. This is going to be our first story. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns day 200 of the Israel-Palestine war. This genocide, this ethnic cleansing, this war crimes that are going on since a very long time, 200 days. Can you imagine the number of months that it translates into? Nevertheless, there is no signs of abating as far as the Israeli barbarities are concerned. In fact, what we are hearing of late is that Israel might go for a ground incursion in Rafah, and there are different arrangements that are being made by Israel and by other countries so as to evacuate a part of the Palestinians who are present in Rafah, but it will create a whole new arena of barbarism when it comes to Rafah, if and when they do strike it. They have been striking Rafah, but not the way they will when they begin the ground offensive. Also, Qatar is not happy with Israel because there are certain allegations that are being leveled on Qatar as to its mediation in the peace negotiations between the Israeli and the Palestinian side is concerned. And of course, this has also been highlighted by Qatar's foreign minister. This and of course the protests that have been going on in different universities in the United States of America, whether it be Columbia, where more than 100 students were arrested, whether it be Yale, whether it be MIT, whether it be all the important Harvard, all the important universities in the US where protests are going on. Pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel protests are going on, and many of the Israeli leaders are saying that this is amounting to anti-Semitism, when in fact what these students are doing is highlighting the atrocities of the Palestinians in Palestine. Is this going to create a new movement just like it happened in the Vietnam War? This is also something that we will be seeing in the coming days and weeks. Then we'll be talking about Asia being the world's most disaster hit region from the climate. This has been said in a latest report by the United Nations World Met Organization's Weather and Climate Agency that states that because of climate change and the different effects that they have seen in Asia, including what happened in Pakistan, the floods that happened in 2022, are making Asia the world's most disaster hit region from the climate in the year 2022 and the year 2023. The World Met Organization has said 79 disasters linked to hydro-met events had been reported in Asia in the year 2023. Finally, we'll be talking about the English Language Day that is being observed across the world today. The theme this year is using technology for multilingual learning, challenges and opportunities. Of course, the English language is important. We are an English language channel as well. But the aim of English is that it is the language that is most understood across the world, from Asia to Africa to Europe and the United States and other continents. And also, it is a language that a lot of people communicate and understand. Therefore, of course, the English language is being observed today. This is going to be our final story. Let's begin with our first that concerns the ties, the relations between Iran and Pakistan. Despite what happened in January this year, both the countries have moved forward and have strengthened their relations even further in order to move beyond any misconceptions or misapprehensions that any country might have, and strengthen the relations in different avenues between both the brotherly countries. We've been joined by two important guests to discuss this. Our first guest is in the studios. He's Agha Iqrar Haroon Saab. He's a senior analyst, and of course he'll be staying with us during the whole course of the show. And our second guest who is online is Javid Husain Saab. He's former ambassador to Iran. Javid Saab, thank you very much to have joined us as well. I'll begin with you, Javid Saab. President of Iran, His Excellency Mr. Dr. Raisi, is in Pakistan since yesterday. He had a very fruitful and eventful day yesterday with all the meetings that were held and the MOUs that were signed between the two sides. What kind of importance, in your point of view, do you attach to this presidential visit? Because this is happening, of course, after 2016.
Well, the visit by the Iranian president carries huge significance. It is a reconfirmation of Iran's desire to strengthen friendly relations and cooperation with Pakistan in the bilateral framework and also at the regional level. And of course, we should welcome, because it is in the equal interest of both Pakistan and Iran to strengthen their friendship, to strengthen their cooperation in political fields and economic, commercial, technical, and even in security fields. And this visit by the Iranian president is a reaffirmation on the part of Iran of its desire to strengthen friendly relations with Pakistan and to promote mutual cooperation, and also to resolve any difficulties or any problems that might be still lingering on. Now, it's a welcome development that the two countries have decided to increase their trade over the next 5 years to $10 billion. It is a huge target, and it will not be easy to achieve it. But the mere fact that they have set this target is a welcome development, and one would hope that both governments at various levels would take practical steps to realize this goal or target, because otherwise it's possible that it might remain just a pipe dream. That is number one. Secondly, it is quite clear that from the meeting that President Ebrahimraisi had with our leaders, Prime Minister, President, Chief of Army Staff, that there is a mutual desire to cooperate with each other in the security field, especially to deal or overcome the problem of cross-border terrorism. And it is in the interest of both the countries to share intelligence, to carry out joint operations where possible and necessary, in any case to take all possible steps so that these terrorist elements are wiped out and are overcome and eliminated, and are not allowed to create difficulties in Pakistan-Iran relations. I have a feeling that some of these elements have the covert support of extra-regional powers, and I have no doubt that in the case of Balochistan Liberation Army, it has the support of India. So we should it is in the interest of both Pakistan and Iran to join hands, to share intelligence, to overcome this problem, which has the potential to create difficulties in their relationship. Then there is Iran-Pakistan gas pipeline project, which is again in the mutual interest of both Pakistan and Iran. And one would hope that over time, as soon as possible, they are able to complete and implement this project.
I'd like to understand something. In your point of view, what binds both Iran and Pakistan? We've had decades of strong relations and then small skirmishes also. But our relationship has strengthened from time to time. What is the basic element of this strengthening of relation?
Well, first of all, I think we have very strong historical and cultural links. There is if you look at our languages, Urdu and Persian, you look at our scholars, there has been a lot of interaction between Iranian, between the areas which now are part of Pakistan and Iran over the last centuries. That is number one, historical links, cultural links. Secondly, we are neighbors, and it is in our interest to have develop mutual trade, mutual economic cooperation. There is a lot of potential for it. Unfortunately, the two countries have not fully developed that potential. But this is an area which needs sustained and focused attention of the governments and the peoples of the two countries, because it is in their mutual interest. Third thing is that their security of the two countries is linked. If something damages Iran's security, Pakistan cannot remain unaffected. And if something damages Pakistan's security, Iran cannot also remain unaffected. So it is in their mutual interest to cooperate with each other in the security field also, whether it is combating terrorism or whether it is cooperation and mutual training programs between the armed forces of the two countries. Historically, we had close cooperation at some time between the armed forces of the two countries. There is a need to develop that cooperation again because, again, that is in mutual interest of Pakistan and Iran. Third thing is both Pakistan and Iran are located almost in the same region. And it is in our interest that we work together to promote peace and stability in the Persian Gulf region, in the Middle East, because those peace and stability affect favorably Pakistan and Iran, and God forbid there is insecurity or armed conflicts in these regions, they affect adversely both Pakistan and Iran. So it is in our interest, it is in Iran's interest that we cooperate with each other in promoting regional peace and stability together with other regional countries like Saudi Arabia. And that is another element that should be of interest to Pakistan, is that we want to have friendly relations and close cooperation with both Iran and Saudi Arabia. And therefore, it is also in our interest that we try to promote friendly relations between these two countries. So these are the factors which make it make it incumbent on both the countries, both the governments of Pakistan and Iran, to work together to promote mutual cooperation. And finally, I would like to draw attention to Economic Cooperation Organization, which is a regional organization of 10 member states, including Turkey, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Central Asian Republics, and Azerbaijan, which has the potential to develop further in terms of regional, economic, commercial, technical, and cultural cooperation. It's a large area and large population which this organization covers. Unfortunately, again, the member states of ECO have not worked as actively as they should have to develop the potential of this organization fully to the mutual benefit of all the 10 member states. Finally, there is a Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Both Iran and Pakistan are members of SCO and also of OIC, Organization of Islamic Cooperation.
And the D8 as well. Of course, these are important organizations, and I hope that this will be a new chapter as far as these organizations are also concerned, and how both these countries can further develop and strengthen these organizations and their presence in the ambit of these organizations as well. Stay online with us, sir. We've also got an enthusiastic guest in the studios. Iqrar, I'd like to understand, there are different avenues that Ambassador Saab pointed towards, but I'd like to begin with the whole security apparatus, whether it be with the meeting with the Chief of the Army Staff, or whether it be the Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi, who had a detailed meeting with his Iranian counterpart Ahmed Wahidi, Minister for Law, Amin Hussain Rahimi in Islamabad. Both talked about important issues like regional peace, stability, border security, terrorism, smuggling, border management, prisoner swap, and facilities of Pakistani pilgrims as avenues to work upon to further bolster relations. When you look at all of this, these are all more or less related to the security of the borders, the security of those elements who are trying to, destabilize both the countries and the border regions as well. How can both the countries work together in order to remove all such miscreants?
Thank you so much. They have to. Basically, the Iranian side of Balochistan, which is Sistan and Balochistan, and the Pakistani side of the Balochistan, is a very huge area. Historically, you can say it had been you can say society. Now, this area has become a soft belly for both countries. So, this area is very tricky area. It's a very huge area. I had been there, and it's almost impossible to, you can say, to manage the border 100%. Though Iranian guards are very vigilant, and it's difficult to cross, but it's a very huge area. This area is very difficult for both countries. We need to have a joint, you can say, mechanism to manage not only the terrorism, rather the cross-border insurgency, and more so, very important is the drugs also. So, unfortunately, you can say there had been some misunderstanding between two countries, although they are the brotherly country. They, and we all know that Iran was the first country to recognize Pakistan as an independent country. So instead of going to the very detail of the past, what is to be done? This is the question. We have to establish, you can say, a hotline kind of a arrangement with Iran. So instead of what happened just a month ago, I mean, and then the Pakistan had to respond. So if there could have been hotline kind of a interaction, or you can say communication,
point of view.
So it should have been avoided.
Okay.
So this is the one. But as a student of you can say political philosophy, I consider Pakistan-Iran relationship in two phases. One is a pre-revolution phase, and second is the post-revolution phase. There is a difference. I mean, we were talking about the ECO. When the RCD was disbanded, we thought the ECO, I mean, it was, you can say it was a promise that ECO is a larger than RCD, and it would definitely address the all connectivity and communication and the desirous trade among so many countries. But ECO, I have not found any work of ECO since ages. It is there, but it is not, I mean, practically it is not there.
So basically it's high time for Pakistan and Iran to
exactly, I am coming to the point. We are talking about the 10 billion trade of, I mean, bilateral trade. Now we are also talking about the free trade zone in a Gulf area. I know, and you also know, there is a trade between Pakistan and Iran, but this is morely a smuggling kind of a trade. You can find Iranian products in Pakistani market, and I found Pakistani rice and all other things in the Iranian market. So this free trade zone, it can really help. And NLC, which is, you can say, Pakistan's official very important cargo managers, they have bought 72-acre land since 3 years, and we are waiting when this Sistan Gift would be properly operative. So potentials are there, but the most important thing is the forum. After RCD, there is no forum at all. I mean, ECO is defunct, technically speaking. Even D8 you just mentioned. We have not achieved anything in education. I am talking about the ECO term of references, technology, science, and even people-to-people contact. I mean, just to see the list of the total visas we provide to the Iranians and Iranian provides to the Pakistani, they are very small, number is very, very small. So these are the realities. And I don't believe in the MOUs. I mean, you can find 100 MOUs between or among many countries. The need of the day is the execution, or you can say to convert MOUs into the reality. And for that matter, we need to have ministerial level interaction, diplomatic level, and even bureaucratic level,
and a continuous spate of such interactions, a continuity of these interactions, so that all that has been decided in previous meetings continues to be implemented.
Exactly. And one more thing, I think is very important to discuss. That is the potential not only in trade. I had been traveling to Iran twice. You would find their universities. Although even under sanctions, the universities are at par with the Pakistani university. Maybe I mean, if you talk about the IT, because even the Russians are teaching over there. The universities are
that could be a good avenue as well.
Exactly, the education.
Yes.
And education, science and technology, they are the more very important if you talk about the term of reference of ECO.
Of course, I totally understand, and I hope that something moves forward in that respect as well. Final question to you, Javid Saab. Islamophobia, interfaith harmony, the Palestine situation, in illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. These are 4 issues, regional issues, international issues that both Iran and Pakistan converge on. How can both the countries also move together in order to alleviate issues such as Islamophobia and promote interfaith harmony, while also looking for a solution, a tangible solution for the people of Palestine and that of illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir?
Well, these are issues on which, fortunately, their views are very similar, be it Kashmir or Palestine or Islamophobia. So there are ways in which they can cooperate with each other in multilateral forums like UN or other regional organizations, and they can also, especially in the case of Islamophobia and Kashmir and Palestine, they can cooperate with each other within the framework of OIC, Organization for Islamic Cooperation. So these are the forums which can be used by both Pakistan and Iran to cooperate bilaterally as well as multilaterally in dealing with these issues. Now, these issues are not going. It's not going to be easy to resolve these issues of Kashmir or Palestine, which have lingered on for the last more than 7 decades, and it would be unrealistic to expect that they will be resolved within the next few years. This will need sustained effort, joint efforts, cooperative efforts, and above all, we need the Islamic world, and Pakistan and Iran is, of course, are part of this, very important parts of the Islamic world. We need to strengthen Islamic unity, and secondly, we need to strengthen ourselves. I mean, the member states of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation or in Muslim countries, to strengthen themselves as states also, both economically, technologically, in terms of education, science, in terms of economic strength. If we are strong, if we are strong economically and technologically and militarily, our voices will be heard. The rest of the world will pay attention to when we say something. But if we are weak, unfortunately, our voices will not receive the attention that they deserve. And this has been the reason why we have not been able to achieve the desired success or make desired progress in the resolution.
Always a beginning. We can never say never. I mean, there's always a better late than never, as a lot of people say as well. So I hope this visit of the Iranian president and his entourage proves to be the right catalyst in order to invigorate all the organizations of which Iran and Pakistan both are part of, in order to not only strengthen the Muslim Ummah but also to highlight the issues that pertain to the Muslim Ummah and work together jointly and with other nations as well in order to alleviate the Muslims across the world, whether it be in Palestine or in illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, from all the atrocities that they are under or they are subjected to. Thank you so very much, Ambassador Javid Husain Saab, to have joined us, to have talked to us about Pak-Iran relations and the importance of that in the ambit of the visit of the Iranian president and his entourage to Pakistan. Thank you, sir, to have joined us. Let's come to our second segment, and that concerns day 2 of the Israel-Palestine conflict. Now, a lot has been happening. The casualties are increasing. The ground offensive on Rafah becomes more a reality as every day passes by, and it seems as if Israel is hell-bent on not listening to any of its Western counterparts or allies as far as reducing the casualties or the violence that it has been perpetrating since the 7th of October. We've been joined by 2 guests. I'll begin with my first guest, of course, in the studios, who is with us, Agha, Iqrar, Haroon, and then we'll go to our second guest, Dr. Farah, foreign affairs expert. Dr. Farah, thank you very much to have joined us. Pleasure to have you on board. But before we come to you, we'll go to Iqrar. Iqrar, the head of Israel's military intelligence, resigns.
Yes.
He cites a failure to stop Palestine's deadly surprise attack on the 7th of October last year. And now he becomes the first senior official to take the blame and of course, step down. It has also increased pressure on other high-level officials to take their share of responsibility and consider stepping down. But Netanyahu has been notably unwilling to admit any fault. He says that he will be willing to answer tough questions, but only after the Gaza war is over. What implication is all of this, the resignation and all that is happening in Palestine, going to have on the current Israeli leadership?
Look, Netanyahu point is very clear, and this has been, you can say, accepted and bought by the Western world also. He says that we are at war. First, let me win this war, and then we will discuss my role or the role of others. So this is his stated position. So, and war suits him. You understand? I mean, he won't seize the war. And if you just mentioned, this is your, I mean, you are of the view that Israel is not listening to the Western world. I think otherwise.
Okay.
Western world and Israel, or you can say that Netanyahu has an understanding.
Okay.
Okay, we would ask you to stop. It is up to you whether you stop or you don't stop. So this is the game.
All right.
Going on.
All right.
Otherwise, you know, when the West decides something, it always
it is abided by
yes.
and executed by Israel.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Farah Naz, thank you very much to have joined us. Dr. Farah Naz, is the ground invasion on Rafah becoming a reality with each passing day, with all the statements that are coming out? The US State Department said there's no way to safely evacuate hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from Rafah. And then the Israeli military leadership as well as Netanyahu talk about extending the war and of course giving hints towards Rafah. What is going to happen in the next couple of days as far as Rafah is concerned?
Thank you, Omar, for having me on the show. When we talk about Rafah, Rafah is one of the entry points. When we talk about aid supply and all the things that are coming to help and support the people who are stranded in Rafah at the moment. So that's one of the entry points for all the humanitarian assistance that is coming into Gaza. So attacking Rafah and having a ground kind of retaliation over there or military invasion over there, it will be having a catastrophic kind of situation for the people in Gaza. And at the moment in Rafah, which is 20% of the entire territory of Gaza, there are 1.5 million people stranded. So 1.5 million stranded in 20% of the total territory of Gaza is in itself a punishment for them. On top of that, when we talk about how their lifestyle is in Rafah at the moment, I was just going through some of the reports, and it says that 900 people can use only one toilet, and there are only 3 liters of water available for one person per day in Rafah, and in those 3 liters, 2 liters are not for consumption at all. So they are already going through immense kind of situation which cannot be improved. The way the Israeli government under Netanyahu, they are further torturing and saying that we will be having ground invasion over there. So in times to come, there are 2 perspectives coming up. One is that probably Netanyahu is kind of having a bluff game, and he's trying to bring people in Doha, and of course Saudi Arabia is also having a loss of trying to put lots of pressure on Netanyahu to stop this invasion. So he's trying to play this bluff game of bringing those people who are trying to have some kind of decision, or to reach to some kind of decision over there. So Netanyahu is planning something in such a way that they could reach to something that Netanyahu is demanding. And the second one is that he may get into military invasion, the ground invasion in Rafah as well. But if it happens, I think it will be really killing of the civilians at, I won't say it will be something beyond even explaining genocide, because so far whatever is happening, it is genocide. But the way if Rafah is attacked, it will be something else.
All right, Dr. Farah, before we come back to the violence and of course the need for food, the need for health facilities, and all the barbarities that Israel has been perpetrating, let's come towards one of its staunchest allies, and that is the United States of America, where dozens of pro-Palestinian protesters have been arrested at Yale University, at New York University, because they held Gaza solidarity demonstrations. More than 100 were arrested at the Columbia University because they were also holding pro-Israel demonstrations. There are demonstrations at Harvard. There are demonstrations at other important, the biggest universities of the United States of America. Last Thursday, 500 demonstrators marched at the University of Southern California in support of one Asna Tabassum, a Muslim student whose valedictorian speech was cancelled by the university, citing safety concerns. A lot of people are saying that it reminds them of the Vietnam era, and how the people in the US had stood up to what the US military had been doing in Vietnam. Is public uproar rising on the unjustified handling of the Israel-Palestine war by the US? What kind of repercussions are these demonstrations going to have?
Of course, these demonstrations will have a stronger impact because the civilians in these countries, the freedom of right, liberty, and all those things, it really matters. And why, Umar, they will not stand and support Palestinians at this point in time, where every hour, like there is, or a child is getting killed or a child is getting injured, one way or the other in Gaza. So this is not acceptable to any human being who believes and who have a bit of humanity left in them. So that's the major reason that everybody is standing in support of, ending this war or having the ceasefire in Gaza as immediately as possible. But bringing these kind of things to New York or to Columbia University or to Howard University, Yale University, you just name, all of them are having the same, and it's the same story even here.
MIT.
We are having the same kind of campaigns taking place over here, which at the moment are peaceful. They are not very brutal or violent as it is happening in America at the moment. So of course it will have lots of problems for the Biden administration, where we could see it's election time and election campaigning is taking on. So their opposition parties, that happens to be Trump, their people are joining the people who are protesting against Biden to stop this war and stop supporting Israel. You might would have heard about that recently. President Biden has approved $26 billion support for the Israeli to contest this war in against the Palestinians. So at one side is President Biden is saying that we will put sanctions on one of the military wings of Israelis, which happens to be very religious, and they Israel
Ultra-Orthodox, yes.
yeah, and America is having its own business with them because there's a history of one of the cases that happened, that a dual national Palestinian American was killed or something happened. So in that case situation, they are very anti against that particular wing of the Israeli military. But on the other side, they're supporting and providing aid to them as well. So what Biden wants, do they want them to go and take the money and kill them? And on the other side, they are just trying to provide a cushion to them that we are banning and sanctioning one of their military wing. It's not satisfying the public at this stage, and I think the public uproar is going to be much more stronger. We could see how things are developing, and they are not developing in the right direction. Things are the public pressure will bring United States to its terms one way or the other, because there is no other way. And neither America nor Netanyahu is listening to anyone to stop this war. And you might would have gone through some of the statements that Netanyahu has provided, and he says there is no force on earth who can stop me to end this war, and I will finish this war by finishing everybody in Gaza. So what does that mean? What they want? How can they do this? How can they justify? There are now even talks about that. What kind of justification they can provide to killing people under the umbrella of that probably Hamas is over there. And even now, when we talk particularly about Rafah, they are saying that Israeli government says that we will go and we will discriminate between civilians and Hamas. How can they do that? Have they been doing it so far? No, not at all. So yeah, it's more
I agree
about.
with you, Dr. Farah. I totally agree with you, Dr. Farah. The fact is that a lot of ambiguity is present as far as the US stance on what Israel is perpetrating on Palestine is concerned. Agha Iqrar, the European Commission for Crisis Management says, the European Commissioner for Crisis Management says that he calls on all donors to support UNRWA. Why? Because there has been a report that has come, a review that has come from the former French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna, that finds that Israel has yet to provide supporting evidence for its claims that UNRWA officials were involved directly or indirectly with what happened on the 7th of October last year. Then there are all the other countries that have resumed their aid to UNRWA as well. Should we see in the coming days UNRWA funding being resumed from even those countries who have stopped, like the US or other countries? I know Israel will never do that, but will US resume its aid, because it has been the largest donor for UNRWA? And the operations of UNRWA are extremely important when it comes to providing aid to the people in Palestine.
I think after a passage of time, UNRWA will start its operation, because this is all planned. We will stop it for 10 days, 20 days, for 3 months, for 2 months, then we will start it, then we will again halt it. So it is all planned. This is just discussions, statements.
Okay.
It should be done. It should not be done. It should be done like this. This is all statements. You was talking about America, and when you are arresting students in America, university students, and when you are you can say sending even professors to home from public university in Europe, what message you are giving? The message is very simple. The America and the Europe stands with the Israel. Why you are arresting students? What they are doing? They are simply demanding at least a ceasefire, and they are being arrested. So this is very clear, and it is all according. This is according to my understanding, because I had been watching these wars as a journalist in since 35 years. Every statement is drafted with all, you can say, a cognitive system, with all connotation and denotation in mind. Okay, this statement would go on 2nd October, and we will continue throwing this statement till 6th October. After 6th October, there will be another statement. This will be in contradiction to the first statement, and then so this is all planned.
Okay.
We should not have any, you can say, positive aspects, whatever the Europe is saying, whatever someone is saying in Europe or in America. West, you remember, Leave Palestina. Leave Palestina was a song which was developed in Sweden in 1970-71. Leave Palestina has become, a symbol in Europe for resistance and for supporting Palestinians. Even Leave Palestina cannot be sung in many countries in Europe today. What is the difference between the 70s and between 2024? Because the world is divided into the NATO countries and the non-NATO countries. Since the Palestinians are the non-NATOs and the Israel is a NATO country, so things are very clear. Why should we spend so much time to find something positive in European statements?
All right. Last question to you, Dr. Farah. We are a bit short of time, but my last question is a bit large. On the one hand, Qatar's foreign ministry spokesperson criticizes some Israeli ministers for accusing Qatar of ulterior motives as far as the Gaza war negotiations for a ceasefire is concerned. On the other hand, we see the continuity of the barbarities of Israel on Palestine, whether it be 310 bodies that have been found in a mass grave at Nasser Hospital, whether it be the attacks all across Gaza and in Rafah, whether it be the 34,183 Palestinians who've been killed so far and more than 77,000 injured, and 9,500 Palestinians held in 19 prisons in Israel, whether it be a report on the impact of the 200 days of the Israel war that talks about 380,000 housing units, 412 schools, 556 mosques, 3 churches, 206 archaeological and heritage sites completely destroyed, 32 hospitals, 53 health centers, for 126 hospitals targeted and destroyed. What kind of message is this giving to the people of the world?
Well, I think this was one of the reasons behind that. Today, the world is united in terms of that we need to have a ceasefire in Gaza, and we want to even talk more about Palestinians. Before this incident of 7th October, Palestine was there, but nobody was talking about it. It was an irrelevant concept in the world politics, but today it has become a very valid concern for everyone, irrespective of what religious ideology you believe. I have been listening for stories from the Jewish community who are very concerned about all of this, and I think their concerns shows that how they look into this war and who they consider guilty for this war. Is it Hamas or is it Netanyahu? So of course they are blaming Netanyahu for that. Whatever Hamas did is not justified, but whatever Netanyahu has done, it is not justified in terms of all international law, humanitarian law, and all those laws which stand for supporting human beings and humankind. So in that context, I think one thing is the eye opener has been done, and thanks to this war. Today, the world, irrespective of it's Christian, if it's a Jew or if it's a Muslim, everyone is standing together in support of having a ceasefire in Gaza. I have never ever seen this ever in my life. So this is something new that we are coming up with. Now coming over to the question that what actually is going to happen, you raised a very good question about UNRWA, that will the powerful countries like America will start funding Tibet. I think if we go back when this war began, United Nations has always been very upset, and its Secretary General was always very upset with this war. And these were the statements coming up that they were declaring it as a genocide. So probably that was the reason they wanted to put, their feet on their neck. That look, if you go against us, this is what we do with you. And since like they have not provided any evidence, so it looks like at the moment that this is again a bluff game to bring United Nations to its knees, that if you try to go against it, this is what we do. So in terms of the financial assistance and all, I think it will take time. Unless and until they agree to their terms, there's not going to be any financial
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Farah, to have joined us. Thank you very much, Iqrar, Haroon, to have joined us during the entire show, in fact, today. Thank you so very much. Let's come to our last two stories very, very quickly. Asia is the world's most disastrous region from climate in 2023. This has been said in a report by the United Nations World Met Organization's Weather and Climate Agency. It said 79 incidents linked to hydro-met events had been reported in Asia in the year 2023. More than 80% of these were related to floods and storms that caused more than 2,000 deaths. Many countries in the region itself experienced their hottest year also on record in 2023, along with a barrage of extreme conditions from droughts and heat waves to floods and storms. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the English Language Day, which is also being observed across the world and in Pakistan. The theme of this day this year is using technology for multilingual learning, the challenges and opportunities. The day is observed annually on the 23rd of April to mark the birth and death anniversary of the English playwright, poet and actor William Shakespeare, as well as to celebrate the importance of the English language across the world. You see the importance of the English language. The language that is most spoken across the world is English, and that is what the aim of our channel PTV World is also, to highlight all the important events that are happening across the world and in Pakistan through the language that is understood by most of the people across the world. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end of today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with new stories, segments that pertain to us, you and Pakistan. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.